This is TV Podcast Industries, and we're here to talk about Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 5, Imposters.
You betrayed everything I believed in.
No. You wanted to mold me in your image, your mentorship, your affection. It was conditional. Do you dare to question my honor? I joined the Maquis because belonging there meant standing up to injustice, even if it meant betraying your beloved Starfleet. That was me. But you could never understand that because you confuse morality with duty, and that, Admiral, is your dishonor.
I believed in you.
Only when it was easy for you. If I meant so much, you would have understood.
You broke my heart.
And you broke mine.
Welcome back, fellow Trekkies and Trekkers. You are joining TV Podcast Industries, and we're talking about Star Trek Picard, Episode 5 of Season 3, Imposters. It is certainly a good day to die. I am one of your hosts, John.
I'm your other host, Derek, and a very happy St. Patrick's Day.
Belated. Yes.
Slightly belated.
Slightly belated, yes, exactly. Yes, happy St. Patrick's Day, fellow Trekkies. I hope you're wearing your green uniforms.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure everybody is. Everybody does that, don't they?
Yeah, and having a Guinness from 10 forward.
Of course. Yes, not St. Patrick Stewart's Day, St. Patrick's Day, our annual celebration in Ireland of our patron saint, has kicked off. So it was on a Friday this year, so it's a long weekend for everybody over here. We took a little bit of time out to enjoy the celebrations before recording. So we're recording a little bit late. And unfortunately, Chris has taken the opportunity over the long weekend to do some work on the house. So he's pulled apart his podcast room, so can't record with us this time.
That is true. I thought he was actually getting paralytic on Guinness. So he's still on a 2-day hangover.
That would be very unlike Chris.
It would.
Be very like us.
Yes.
But very unlike Chris.
Yes.
But no, he will be back for the next episode of Star Trek Picard when we record next week. But a little bit of time out for him.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Remember, fellow Trekkies, head on over to our website, if you haven't already done so, to tvpodcastindustries.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast, any Federation or Romulan supporting podcast player of your choice. You can also leave a voicemail over on the website for feedback, as well as sending in emails to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com. We love to get your thoughts, theories, comments, observations on all the shows that we cover, and in particular for this fantastic series so far, or season so far, I should say, of Star Trek Picard.
Yeah, they're throwing everything into this one. This
Oh,
time.
really are, yeah.
I feel like we should be changing that to Federation or Changeling supporting podcast.
Well, that is
player
true, actually, at
for
this stage.
season.
Yeah.
The Romulans were quite significant in the first 2 seasons, but I don't think so this season.
No, not really.
Yeah.
It is more changelings. Yes.
Tis.
But let us get into our spoiler-filled discussion of Episode 5, Imposters. Derek, who gave us what, where, when, how, and why?
Well, the show was created by Kiva Goldsman, Michael Chabon, Kristen Bear, and Alex Kurtzman. The story for this episode was written by Cindy Apple and Chris Derrick. Cindy's second episode this season and 5th overall for Star Trek Picard. And this is Chris's second writing credit as well. He's also the story editor on the show and has been since the beginning of the show. So 2 seasoned veterans of Picard
absolutely.
in here. Yeah. First time director though, Dan Liu jumps aboard for the next 2 episodes, for this episode and the next one. He was an editor on The Walking Dead for most of its seasons and directed 3 episodes of The Walking Dead as well. Also directed an episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds as well.
There's the entry point.
Exactly. And 2 episodes of Shadow and Bone on Netflix.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah,
Love that show.
Yeah, season 2 just released this week. So we've been catching up on that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good stuff. Great to have Dan on board for this excellent episode as well.
For sure. That really, really good episode. Surprises galore. Emotion galore for me, anyway, at least.
Yes, well, let's get into it then, John. Do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 5, Imposters?
Sure. Having escaped the Shrike and Captain Vadic, Will Riker returns command of the USS Titan to Captain Shaw, as Picard and Riker accept they must come to account for putting the Titan and its crew in danger. Shaw informs them that he has already contacted Starfleet, who send the USS Intrepid to intercept them and take Picard and Riker into custody. Elsewhere, Worf and Raffi continue their investigation into the Metallus Prime attack. They track a close associate of Sneed, the Vulcan criminal Kryn, who they believe helped the changelings gain access to data from laboratories. They try to outmaneuver Kryn, who believes he is one step ahead after he captures them both and forces them to duel to the death. Raffi seemingly defeats Worf, but Worf manages to use all his battle knowledge to turn the tables, kill Kryn's minions, and force Kryn to give them vital information about the attack. As the Intrepid's shuttle docks on the Titan, it is Commander Ro Laren who heads the Starfleet security team. Picard's emotions run high, seeing Ro, who betrayed Starfleet and Picard's trust years earlier by defecting to the Marquis. Now reinstated, though, she begins a frosty interrogation of Picard. In the sickbay, Beverly Crusher conducts an autopsy on the dead changeling, discovering it has evolved to hold their shape for longer and can mimic blood and internal organs to evade Starfleet's security protocols. She manages to notify Picard, immediately adding suspicion to Picard's feelings of hurt and betrayal that he feels towards Ro. On the way to see the changeling, Ro suddenly dragoons Picard into the holodeck, where they vent both their feelings of betrayal and anger, which make them realize that they are not changeling imposters. Asking Picard to trust her once again, she reveals to him that she suspects a changeling conspiracy that has infiltrated and compromised Starfleet's highest levels and throughout the fleet, including both the Intrepid and Titan. Picard realizes he still trusts her, and they reconcile. Just before she heads back on the shuttle, Ro gives Picard her Bajoran earring. On the shuttle, she discovers her security team are changelings. They plan to bomb on board the shuttle before transporting back onto the Titan to capture Jack Crusher. They find Jack and are joined by two other changelings, but as they go to transport him off the Titan, Jack's red visions return, and he efficiently kills all four changelings, avoiding capture. But Ro can't get off the shuttle and is forced to steer into one of Intrepid's warp engines, sacrificing herself to give the Titan time to flee from the Intrepid that is powering up shields and arming its torpedo and laser arrays. The Titan manages to escape the crippled Intrepid. While in hyperspace, Picard and Riker realize Ro's earring is a data chip that contains the intelligence she gathered on the Changeling conspiracy. As they assess the data, an incoming transmission comes through as Worf, who was Ro's agent, contacts Picard and Riker. Back in sickbay, with the four changeling bodies, Beverly asks Jack how he knew the people he killed were changelings. Jack doesn't know, but confides with his mother that something is seriously wrong with him.
Or something is seriously right with him.
Well, yes, maybe.
A guy knows how to take out a group of enemies, doesn't he?
Yes, he certainly does.
Very cool. Interesting opening of the episode where we had his nightmare as he kills all of the bridge crew.
Yes, yeah. His red visions, I'm calling them.
Okay.
I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
I mean, nightmare, there is a hint towards that from Beverly in that conversation from when he was a child.
Yeah.
So, yeah, who knows? But
I guess we'll talk about those.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, first off, just for me, this was a fantastic jam-packed episode. Lots of emotion. Loved the return of Ro Laren.
Oh, real surprise.
Real surprise for sure. Really kept the story on a nice tenterhooks, I thought.
Yeah.
And some great visuals here.
Yeah.
With the Intrepid. So
I'm so glad they've been able to keep this stuff secret. You know,
absolutely.
There's lots of returning characters, and they kind of mentioned that there'd be a few people that we wouldn't suspect were returning. But they gave out 6 episodes of the show as screeners, which means lots and lots of people saw these episodes well in advance and kept the secret to themselves. Thankfully, which doesn't always happen.
No,
you get those articles from some let's say, less than positive places on the internet where they go, we have a theory that Ro Laren's going to turn up maybe towards the midpoint of the season. And then suddenly it's like, oh, their theory proved correct because they saw the episodes in advance. But we didn't see any of that this time. So nice surprise seeing Ro arrive.
Yeah, absolutely. Love this character from The Next Generation. She always felt such a different Starfleet officer.
Absolutely.
You know, really prickly, you know, just coming from a different set of ideals. And the relationship with Picard, I think, was really, really good.
Definitely.
So, I loved this.
Love how they jumped off on this. I found it really difficult to stop calling her Ensign Ro, though, because that's how we were introduced to her back in season 5 of Next Generation. So Commander Ro here.
Commander Ro, indeed. Yeah. But let us get into our main points. First off, our small moment of the episode.
Make it so, number one.
Yes, what's your opening quote or your moment that you liked, your small moment from the episode, John?
My small moment is effectively from small acorns do large oak trees grow. It really is a big moment, to be honest, but it's just the conversation between Picard and Ro in the holodeck, and in particular where you have Ro saying to Picard, "You broke my heart," and Jean-Luc coming back and finishing with, "And you broke mine." And
so good, yeah.
It was just really, really good. I found their interactions just really emotional here. And I just love the follow-up line from Picard, you know, that pain tells us we are who we say we are. You know, really you can't fake that, you know, and I just thought it was done so well. Again, really small lines, but it just set up the whole thing in the corridor for me, where she's going back on the shuttle, and it's just, and also the larger moment later on, which is also my big point.
Right.
So I won't talk about it now, but it just really was fantastic. These two, you know, in Patrick Stewart and Michelle Forbes, I just loved the screen time with these two.
Because it works so well, doesn't it? Because the whole premise now that we have the changelings so heavily involved in the show is trust no one. And bringing back a character that is untrustworthy anyway to walk in there. You don't expect it to be there. Picard, of course, doesn't even believe that she's back in Starfleet. So there's this kind of constant back and forth with her. He's probing her, trying to get information out of her, you know, tell me how this came about. And effectively she reads off something that she could have read on a computer, and he's kind of going, these are all facts. I need the emotion behind why you made these choices. If I don't get that emotion, I can't possibly think that you're not a changeling. You'd be exactly the kind of person that they'd replace and get on board.
Exactly. And certainly with the information that he gets in mid-interrogation there. So yeah, I thought this was a really great moment. I love how they're bringing these characters back. I really do hope we get some Deep Space Nine characters, but
without a doubt.
I'm expecting not really. As this season goes on, I'm kind of expecting less and less that we will, but you never know.
I think it's a real possibility. I think there's definitely some characters out there. You know, I only found out this week, and maybe I knew and I forgot, but I only found out recently that storyline of Ro joining the Maquis, that was supposed to be kind of a jumping off point where she would go and be the Bajoran character on Deep Space Nine. She was supposed to be a major character, but Michelle Forbes decided not to go ahead and join that series. So that's where we get Kira Nerys, one of our favorite characters from all of Deep Space Nine. You just think
possibilities of that. I mean, Kira Nerys was great. Really, really enjoyed her on Deep Space Nine.
But you can kind of see that kind of kernel in the story that could have been. We already know that Ensign Ro doesn't trust Starfleet, and she has to work with them. You can kind of see how that would work, but then we wouldn't have got Kira Nerys. So hey, it worked out for the best. But it is great to see Ro back.
Definitely,
in this episode. Really
absolutely.
Cool. I do wonder if the holodeck is just permanently set to 10 forward now.
I think it's great. I think
it's like great. Go to the holodeck. It's 10 forward again.
You know, good things always come over a nice drink together with friends, whether that's tea, coffee, and cake, or whether it's beer and some bar nuts.
Always mix up some whiskey behind the bar. I really like the idea that when Picard goes in there, he turns off the safety measures and is able to pull out a phaser on Rose, so he's able to turn it to his advantage, even though he didn't know he was going in there. The only thing I would have liked was a tiny little bit of explanation as to why she brings him into the holodeck. Because I presume it's because when you're in the holodeck, your communications aren't able to be monitored from outside. It's a much more private place once you're inside there. I'd like just that little line in there, but that not totally necessary. Still a fantastic scene, though.
Absolutely. Derek, what's your small moment from the episode?
I think almost every episode is going to be Shaw, really. I really, really enjoy the conversation that they have when after Shaw gets reinstated as captain of the ship. I love that his first line to them is, and just so you know, I've already called Starfleet. It's thanks for giving me back my control. I didn't want to tell you before you did that, in case you did anything, basically. And him saying to Seven, as a courtesy, I'll reinstate you so you can face the full brunt of Starfleet and give you a couple of minutes to get your crap story together between the three, or whatever you're going to make up to justify all of this. But it's what follows is Picard, Riker, and Shaw in the turbo lift together, having the conversation where they're saying, maybe Starfleet will have a little bit of leniency on us because, of course, we are the legends that have saved the galaxy so many times. And Shaw kind of turns it back at them and goes, effectively gives them all of the things in a different perspective, all the things that they've destroyed, all the possible times the galaxy could have been destroyed because of the things that they did. And the line I absolutely love from is when he says, when it comes to danger, you kind of have a chicken and egg thing going on. It just depends on the perspective of other people around you as to whether they will treat it well or not. Love it. Love Captain Shaw.
Absolutely. I just love the fact that he's kind of humming away to himself in the turbo lift and he's going, I'm chipper. It's not because you're about to be taken into custody and charged with, hijacking a Starfleet ship.
Exactly.
I'm just in a chipper mood.
He's fantastic.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
So good. So good. And, of course, an Irish captain here, Liam Shaw, as well. Good one for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Good stuff. That's my small moment.
Good. Let us get on to our medium moment of the episode.
Implement the Omega Directive immediately.
So, yes, John, what's your medium moment, your Omega Directive?
It is Jack Crusher. He has skills and really quite deadly skills.
Yeah, they seem to be multiplying.
I really like the continuation of his visions or dreams or memories or whatever they are. Right from the opening, where you see him coming onto the command deck of the Titan and effectively dispatching the entire crew that's up there. Very efficiently. Again, we see him have another one of those visions once the Intrepid has arrived and he has been given the uniform by 7 of 9. Again, linking back to that earlier vision, he's kind of, no, I don't want to take this. I don't want to be in a uniform because I've had this vision that has me in a uniform. But then going to the transporter, again, seeing that kind of almost root system that comes into the transporter stream. And
I have to say, when I was watching that, I was going, they've changed the transporters and they look really dangerous.
Exactly.
Okay, grand. This is vision. Grand.
Again, ending up with the death of an ensign there. But again, just being kind of almost a vision that's taken him out of the moment that he's in. But this really is sort of leading to the fact that the two security officers who are part of Commander Rowe's team are actually changelings and come back on to the Titan to get Jack Crusher. You see them earlier with the file on him, searching for him. The reason why he's been put in the uniform is to hide him in plain sight. But I really kind of enjoyed then they find him, 2 more come aboard, presumably from the Intrepid, and as they go to take him in, again, you see this really, really efficient form of dispatching adversaries by Jack, in very short order, with a double tap on the final changeling that attacks him. So he takes out these 4, very, very good. And I guess, one of the things here, it's kind of, this is a demonstration of some really serious skill set in combat.
Feels similar to Elnor that we saw back in the first couple of seasons of Picard.
Very highly trained. And, it's one of those things. Is Jack a sleeper agent or a Manchurian candidate?
Right.
Here, as a sleeper agent, is he, part of Section 31, the autonomous defense and intelligence body there? Is he part of that is beginning to sort of be reawakened, but still he's not clear?
Maybe.
Is he a, some form of changeling, and there's a Manchurian candidate? But it seems to me, I guess, my current working theory is that without him knowing, he is able to identify these highly evolved changelings now.
Yes, and that's my feeling, that I still feel that he's merged in some way with a changeling, that something has happened, that they've merged a changeling inside of him, and that's why he's able to read the other changelings that are there. Something like that.
That's why he's this high priority asset or an acquisition from for the changelings.
Yeah.
And so, you see that then with Beverly, where they ask for a moment alone from Captain Shaw and the chief medic of the Titan. You've got the 4 changelings, and you hear Beverly asking him, well, how did you know that they were changelings? And he goes, I don't.
Yeah.
There's something that's happening that's wrong with me.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. But you also...
And that's because Beverly has told him about the historical nightmares that he'd had before that caused
but as a kid. So it's almost like, maybe he isn't a Section 31 highly trained. There's something that happened as a result of his birth or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Something earlier on in his life, given we have this anecdote about the nightmares, as a child where he didn't sleep. And that's where Beverly, kind of kicks off on this, but you just have that moment, at the end of this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I kind of want to correct, something we said last week, when we saw the vision that Jack was having, and we heard the voice of what we thought was Vadic. And this week in subtitles is confirmed the voice that he's hearing is Beverly. So I don't know whether last week was Vadic's voice or not, or whether it was Beverly's voice then. And this time it is definitely Beverly calling out, saying "Come home," is what he's hearing when he's having those visions as well. So I thought that was a bit interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why would Beverly be calling out to him saying "Come home"? Or what is it? What is that memory? What's that vision that he's getting?
It's different voices. I mean, I'm still convinced that sort of in last week's episode, there was a male voice there.
There was definitely, yeah. But the other voice that was saying "Find me," we thought was Vadic. And it may actually have been Beverly, because it's a similar sentiment to what she's saying this week. I still
think it's a little unclear here, but definitely in this episode, it was Beverly.
Yes.
And maybe it is around, subconscious competing elements that's going on. I mean, that's the thing. Until it's really explained, is this a subconscious thing just within Jack's head? Not that he's able to hear voices, but they're kind of, deep implants into his mind, memories and subconsciousness that are playing out, and they're starting to activate in some way.
Yes. Yeah.
So, this was really good. And I found this really interesting.
It was. I must say, that opening scene with him killing the bridge crew, my first thought was, no, you can't take them all out. I'm really getting to know them a bit, getting to enjoy having them around, Weird thing though in a dream, I always find when they use these kind of dream sequences in shows, it is something that's used very, very often, where you get a shocking moment and then, it was just a dream. I found this one a bit odd, because we saw, Commander LaForge, isn't it? Who's obviously Geordie LaForge's daughter. We see her yawning because she's been on deck for so long. And it's such a weird touch because you're thinking, this is a dream of Jack's. Why would he have that little tiny detail in there? That's why you kind of think, is it a vision of the future that everybody on board the bridge is replaced by changelings and he goes on board there to kill them all? Is that why it's so specific, it's so detailed? Because my dreams are definitely not that detailed. So that's one thing that made me wonder about that scene. Is the Titan going to eventually be completely overrun by changelings and Jack has to go after them or something?
Yeah, and I think in that first vision or dream, the officer that he has to then finish off and gets that root kind of system over her face.
Yeah.
I like the touch where he sees her as he's getting, I think, into a turbo lift, sort of walking across one of the corridors, and there's just a look between them.
Yeah. Tavine, I think it is.
Yeah. So it was really, I kind of just like, nice little touches there about him sort of recalling that. So, he is beginning to recall these things that are going on. Yeah, exactly. I guess hence why he's looking a little bit more out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Those red veins definitely reminded me of War of the Worlds.
That's true.
The only reference I have to them. I can't think of anything in Star Trek that is like that. I'm going to stick with the changelings, changeling problem, but I'm going to stick with another crusher aboard for my my Omega Director, my medium moment from the episode, because I do want to talk about the dissection, Beverly's dissection of the changeling that was impersonating LaForge last week, because it is really interesting. We've seen them turn to a pile of goo before. We've seen them turn to dust when Beverly killed them earlier on in the season. This time, this changeling who gets shot stays in the shape of LaForge. It's only when Beverly dissects all the way down to the individual internal organs that they start to turn back into their original gloopy self, let's say. Which I think is really interesting and very scary in itself. This concept of don't trust anyone because there is no way to tell at all whether they're a changeling or not is really bearing out in what's happening with Beverly. It's very different to what we've seen before. We have there are ways to detect them. We've had that before. So really the only way now to detect them is by interrogating them and having enough knowledge about the person you're talking to that they may slip up on the detail. And that's the only way you can pick up whether they're a changeling or not. So I think that's really interesting. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that Beverly can find some other analytical procedure to be able to scan them. But I like the fact that as well, when Beverly is doing this dissection, and she cuts and realizes that the blood test isn't going to identify them now because there's blood, and
there's no DNA at all present.
No, but I like how you have it going back to Picard and Ro in that interrogation right at the start, where she says, "Let's just get this out of the way," and cuts herself, shows blood, and so they're suddenly, you're joining Picard on this journey of suspicion around Ro. Which is really, really good. I like as well that, she's able to get the results to Picard with this trust no one, whilst he's in with Ro. So again, just everything that's gone before, with her trying to prove, that she actually is Commander Ro Laren, is all in doubt and is a huge question for Picard.
Yes.
So I liked how it interchanged with those elements here because, it's really important. It's only on sort of final dissection of the organs that they then break down. And just the fact that it has organs formed as well.
Exactly.
So it won't trip any of the scanners as you go through to get on board a Starfleet vessel.
It's a really interesting one, isn't it? Because when Ro arrived, they came over by shuttle, which was the first moment of a bit of concern that maybe Ro is a changeling. It's said that it's the security officer who insisted that they came over by shuttle, not by transporter. We know now that they were changelings, so potentially there's a problem with the scanners. As someone transports over, that they may pick up that they're changeling on the transport over. But then we see those other two that you were talking about that Jack killed, those other two transporting in as well. So we see 4 of them transporting aboard. So I wonder if they're not fully formed until they get aboard the ship and mess with the transporters in some way so that they don't pick them up or something like that, because they seem okay using the transporters after that initial arrival.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not too clear on that. But
although they use the shuttle's transporters to transport them on, not the Titan's transporters, I suppose. Maybe that's the way around.
It's almost like a personal transporter system like we've seen in this series, and in Discovery, rather than coming through, the ships where you've got all the readouts happening. Yeah. No, it was really good. I also really like the fact that you have Ensign LaForge verifying via vomiting that indeed, there is a look-alike dead on the table there. I thought that was a nice, fun touch.
Nice little joke. Good stuff. That's my media moment for the episode. Shall we move on to our prime directive, our major moments from the episode, John?
Yeah, absolutely.
We must face the ramifications of the Prime Directive.
Yes, what are the ramifications of our Prime Directive, John? Do you want to kick us off with yours, or do you want me to take it?
Yeah, I'll kick off. Okay. It is Ro's death here. It is the self-sacrifice that she does. But it's also just everything that's gone before that makes this moment. I mean, I was really emotional here, and seeing Picard, that wanting to bring her back towards the Titans so they can actually get a full lock on her to transport her off before the bomb goes. But, it being too late. So she heads to take out one of the warp engines of the Intrepid so that they can make good on their escape away from there. She suddenly realizes there's this huge compromise that's happened here, but it is
she knows that there's that her ship was compromised quite significantly. And what I do like about through the episode, when you look back on all the decisions that she's made being in charge of the investigation, she's actually done a few things to prepare for this moment in case something goes wrong. She's taken half of the crew off the Titan to be reassigned to other places so that there's a smaller crew. Only the most important staff are left, so that when Picard steals the ship, he won't have as much resistance in case there are loads of imposters aboard.
No, absolutely. Like, but I mean, it's just the whole sequence. It's the fact that it starts off frosty between Ro and Picard here. I mean, the whole sort of evolution of this episode between Picard and Ro leads to this moment of self-sacrifice, and it just makes it so impactful and really emotional between the two. Starting off frosty, having in a sense that distrust, but then and the hurt of betrayal, but the cathartic moment in the holodeck where effectively a face-off at phaser point between the two, where they realize that the deep-seated pain it is what makes them who they are.
Yes.
And then Ro laying out her conspiracy, this changeling conspiracy at the highest level of Starfleet, asking for that trust to be returned to her. And then in the corridor as she's about to leave on the shuttle, all these years, she says, all these years, I wish you had known me. And she says, and I had known you. It's a really good moment as she gives Picard her Bajoran earring.
Yes.
There, as some kind of gesture. And then you have just the sheer helplessness that they can't get out off the shuttle, and there is this bomb ticking down. And I just thought, Picard then saying, I do see you, everything, forgive me. This really big emotional punch as her ship blows up at the warp engine. And there's that moment with, I thought the framing of it was just amazing, with Jean-Luc in the captain's seat, his head in his hands, as you see the Titan in the screen behind, sort of framed with the explosion happening and it beginning to sink. And just the continuation of that, where it's sinking down and then it comes back up, and you have the whole crisis moment aboard the Titan, because Intrepid is raising shields, arming torpedoes, because they're framing the Titan as though this is some kind of attack.
Completely overrun by changelings is the expectation here. The whole ship is effectively full of changelings.
Yeah, and everything that Ro has told Picard, he has to get to across to Shaw, who's back in command. And in fact, Riker's line here is like, even if you still don't trust us, trust what you're seeing with your own eyes, effectively.
Yeah.
So this was hugely emotional for me. I thought the arc of it all the way through, the suspicion as to whether she was a changeling, their past, this betrayal of her leaving Starfleet, joining the Marquis. The whole conversations around, you mistake duty as being honourable.
Absolutely.
All this really good.
Yeah, blind faith in any institution is not honourable. I love that she calls into question Picard's blind faith that everything that Starfleet does is right. And especially in the background of this, that she knows there's a conspiracy going on. She knows that they've been infiltrated. So, what missions have the changelings sent people on that were actually for their benefit, not for Starfleet? I really like that kind of background to it. One kind of closeout moment that I really like as well, a really well written moment between Riker and Picard, when Riker says to Picard about the loss of Ro, I know how much she meant to you. And I like Picard's response being, well, I didn't even know that until now, until I've had this moment with her to reflect on our shared history and our past together. I didn't realize how much she meant to me, how much she could have been, or the way he treated her as a potential protege, trying to force her to be exactly like him in Starfleet. And she pushed back against that. It's not something that Picard experiences very often, and echoed in the conversation with Jack as well, where Picard saying to him, I've seen many a rebel join Starfleet, and Jack's kind of looking at him and going, why do you think Starfleet is the answer here? I'm leaving. Once this is all done, absolutely. I'm out of here. Stop trying to force me into Starfleet, That's the same mistake he made with Ro.
So it was just really, really good. I loved every moment of this between them. I really did. I'm just, not only what happened, but I'm just sad that, Ro Laren is effectively gone from the Star Trek universe. But a great, great character. Massive moment.
And closing out a story 30 years in the making almost. And I think they did a really good job bringing back the character. Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Derek, what is your big moment from the episode?
Well, there were two other major characters in the episode who finally connected in with this story. Really liked this. Worf and Raffi off on their adventure trying to work out what is going on with the Daystrom Institute and trying to connect all the dots there. We find by the end of the episode that it was actually Ro who was their handler. Ro Laren was the one that was sending Worf on all of these missions to investigate what was going on with the changelings, because she utterly trusted him, of course, to work this out and to find out what's going on in the background with the changelings. And that leads them to the Vulcan Kryn, who was connected with the Ferengi that was executed by Worf, whose head he took on the planet of Metalis Prime. So I wasn't too sure whether I got the initial moment when they arrived at Metalis and everybody just ran away. I suppose that was quite a brutal attack from Worf, where he cut off people's heads and killed loads of people there.
Effectively, they are the alphas of District 6.
Yes.
Because, they've stamped their authority effectively as the, the head honchos.
Or the headless honchos, I guess. Well, or the head hunting honchos, maybe. Yeah. Maybe that's it.
I guess they're the last people to have taken out the king of District 6.
Yes.
So they are de facto the replacement.
Yeah. But I do like that we have Kryn arriving here with his crew. He knows to plan for Worf. I thought that was a really good reveal.
Yeah. And it's very Vulcan to do that. Logically, I wouldn't just show up and not think about this. I thought it was really good.
They do play with his logic quite a bit in the episode. I thought that was quite interesting because you certainly don't expect Vulcans to be criminal masterminds. Tends not to be the way that we've seen Vulcans in the past. So I do like his logic of, well, if there is going to be a criminal element on this planet, it's only logical that I would be involved in that. This is his kind of statement about it. But he sets Worf and Raffi on a fight to the death.
Or dare I
against each
say
other.
it? Yeah. Or dare I say it? A ye oldie fight to the death,
Definitely.
as Raffi says. That was. I thought that was intriguing, but I'm not entirely sure why it went that way. But I mean, you hear Crane. I guess it's that they've effectively had bets anyway.
He says that the reason he's doing it is because himself and Sneed were brothers that grew up. The death of Sneed affected him significantly, so now he's going to make
payback,
these two friends fight each other
Yeah.
to the death. It is
Okay.
absolutely payback.
I kind of missed that point.
Yeah. So
That makes sense then.
Yeah. But they've planned for this. Raffi and Worf have battled many times in the past. So Raffi just tries to miss the internal organs of Worf, so that he looks dead. He has practiced this from all of his training. He's been able to slow his breath to make it look like he's dead.
He has mastered the Kalis technique.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it. So, that gives him the ability to sneak up on all of them.
Play dead.
Yeah.
And then dispatch everyone quite efficiently again.
Yeah, definitely. And then leading him to the to confronting Kryn and getting the information that they need about the Daystrom Institute. So yes, there is something else at the Daystrom Institute that was taken by the Changelings and their supporters, so that they were able to accomplish their goals. And Kryn gives them a way in to it. He's the one.
He
that built
has the way
device.
in. Yes, exactly. And interesting point where he says, because we hear the Daystrom Institute has this AI security system that can learn and so on, but there are certain parts of it that are, as Kryn says, weirdly illogical.
Yes.
So you're wondering whether the Changelings, could have been involved with that AI
Setup of
system.
it. Maybe.
You just don't know. Why would it be strangely illogical? And that's the weak point that Kryn can leverage in order to
exploit,
exploit, which is this little chip,
Yeah.
or whether it's just that human logic is nowhere near as good as Vulcan logic. So their logic mastery means that even though the top Federation scientists may think they have a top security system and its logical protocol for learning and so on, that maybe they didn't.
Yes, it could be that. I do also have something in the back of my mind, because we have been at Daystrom before. Daystrom was quite foundational to the start of this show, right back at the start of season 1, where we had effectively AI androids being created from data back at the start. So is this our point where we get to bring back Brent Spiner as Lore in this season, or as somebody else potentially? So will we find that that's what they stole when they were at Daystrom? That there was another version of data, let's say, that was there. That's who they stole. So maybe that's the AI security system that doesn't operate just in logic because it's a learning AI system.
Yes.
Like Data was. So that's a very simplistic way of looking at it. I'm sure lots of Star Trek fans would not take that explanation of Data, but that's roughly the way I'll say it. I wonder if that's what the connection is, but it is really intriguing, and I love that as Riker and Picard are eventually going through the Bajoran and getting all the information that Ro has put together, it doesn't auto-connect effectively to Worf. It rings him automatically, and he's like, hello? is that you,
No,
Picard?
it's an incoming transmission.
Yeah,
So
but it's like as if it activated this incoming call to Worf, where he's trying to get in contact, because he hasn't made a video call to Ro before. He's suddenly on a video call effectively to Picard and Riker, and he's kind of going, hang on a second, why are you there?
Yeah. No, I like that touch as well, that Ro was his handler, and effectively Rafaela's as well.
Yes.
Even though through Worf.
Yes.
But so I really like that, Ro mentions about she has 2 operatives on the ground that she can trust. So it was, this was a nice little touch. I loved as well just how the whole Bajoran earring thing came about with Riker identifying it as old school intelligence ploy.
School spy stuff.
So it was good. Yeah. I like that. And having her information that she's collected, her sacrifice wasn't in vain.
Exactly. And now we have Worf and Raffi on their way to connect up with the Picard
I'm intrigued, I guess, on Raffi's reaction to see Picard again, just because of their, relationship. So that'll be good.
Yeah, good stuff. I guess that's all our major points. John, anything else about the episode you want to talk about?
Just a small note. We kind of mentioned it at the start of the discussion, but Worf saying today was a good day to die, as Raffi has, put the knife in. Great to hear that line.
Yeah, probably one of Worf's most famous quotes from the movies. Definitely, really cool one. I do like just a little nod to another major Star Trek character in here. Rose says that she has reached out to try and contact Captain Janeway, but to no avail. So we do have a little reference to Admiral Janeway. Apologies, I always forget her title has expanded quite considerably in the past. So she's Admiral Janeway, but they have reached out to try and contact her. So you never know.
Yeah,
she is currently working on Prodigy, doing voice work on Star Trek Prodigy. You never know, we may get a little cameo of.
I hope so. I really hope so.
At some point, that would be cool. I know there's a few other little Easter eggs and moments that we haven't talked about, but I think we have some of them in the feedback. So I'm going to hold off on those.
Excellent stuff.
John, overall, what did you think of Star Trek Picard episode 305, Imposters?
Absolutely adored this episode. It was an emotional roller coaster for me. Having Ro Laren back, and her, Michelle Forbes and Patrick Stewart. I just loved every scene that they were in. It just filled me with joy. I'd give this 5 Blobageddons out of 5.
I like that.
I thought it was just wonderful, and with a massive emotional payout. In a sad way, really. Yeah. I loved it. I loved how it connected this part of the story into Worf and Raffi. I enjoyed seeing Jack with these kind of visions or psychic breaks that are happening over the episode as well. And it was just. Yeah, it was just spot on. I think that's all I can really say. It was just one of those ones where you just got absorbed into the episode. Yeah. As I say, I think there were some scenes as well, like the Intrepid sort of beginning to just ail on the side of where the shuttle had exploded, going down and down. And you see that in the background as Picard, his head in his hand, but then just seeing the Intrepid rise back up as its shields go on, and so it was just really, really epic. Yeah, it felt cinematic.
Yeah, it also looks about 3 times as big.
Well, it did, it was. Yeah, it's I guess more of a battle class of vessel compared to the Titan. So, Titan was wise to
run away,
turn and run. Yeah, exactly.
Run away, get out of here. Absolutely, very cool.
Poor Titan, first chased by the Shrike, and now I guess the Intrepid isn't going to be able to do much with one of its warp engines out.
Yeah, that's true. But maybe all of Starfleet after them though. So
yeah. So that's it. That's what they say exactly. Everyone's after us. Everyone's going to be after them. Yeah. But Derek, what did you think of episode 5, Imposters?
Just loved this episode. Really, really good. They're we've said before, they're hitting the nostalgia this season, but it's also being written really, really well. They're justifying it. It's not,
exactly.
I'm trying to think which of the Star Trek movies was it? Was it The Voyage Home, where effectively they had to get all the cast back together from the original series, and it took them about 3 minutes. I was like, okay, right, everybody's back together now, and off we go on our next adventure. One of the Star Trek movies that would like that. Whereas this, they're going, yes, you'll see most of the cast of The Next Generation. We've already announced that everybody's going to be here, but we're going to give everybody their story, everybody their moment, and you're going to have some special appearances like here we are with Ro Laren, someone I did not expect to appear in the show, who gets her own great arc, tying up a storyline that everybody has kind of wondered about whatever happened to Ro Laren, what happened to her when she went off and joined the Maquis. And they did it so well in here, having that suspicion on her because of the imposters that we've seen for the last few episodes, and it becoming the story of how she really helped Picard and how she connected back in with him and then sacrificed her life for her mission, her own investigation that she's doing. I think it's fantastic.
Like, for me, I think this season is producing some really classic episodes.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, they know their stuff, and
so
they are nailing it. Yeah, absolutely loved it. Really, really good.
Yeah.
And I will say, I know you didn't say it, John. I will say, immediately after we watched the episode, John turned to me and said, "I could watch that again. Unfortunately, we have to take notes on the second time, but I could watch it again just for the fun of it because the episode was so good."
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you loved it, as did I. Great stuff. I think we need to go back to 10 forward, John.
Yes, I think it is, to raise a toast to celebrate Ro Laren, and for sure. Welcome, fellow quizzers and fellow Trekkies, to the 10 forward pub quiz. It is episode 5, so it is question 5. Here we go. What are Raffi's weaknesses, according to Worf?
Very good, very good. I really liked that moment with the fighting aboard La Sirena between Raffi and Worf. Also, really liked her moment of stop making a point by making holes in my ship, Worf, when he keeps throwing the knife to emphasize his points. Great stuff. John, do you want to get that pub quiz question one more time?
Yes. What are Raffi's weaknesses, according to Worf?
Good stuff. 5th episode, 5th question. So gather together the answers to all 10 questions in the 10 forward pub quiz. Email us to feedback@TV Podcast Industries with your answers at the end of the series, and you'll be in with a chance of getting your hands on some Star Trek Picard final season goodies.
Yes, indeed.
Good stuff.
In the spirit of St. Patrick's Day, of course, good luck, fellow quizzes and fellow Trekkies.
Exactly. Let's hop on over to Facebook for some feedback on this episode, John.
Yes. First off, on Facebook for this episode, Jamie Lawton says, I like that Morn and Brunt are still around and on Worf's usual suspects list.
Very good.
Nice to see Ro Laren, Michelle Forbes involved. Always liked her in The Next Generation and Battlestar Galactica. Indeed. Also, the 3 incidents mentioned by Shaw are from the movie Generations, Insurrection, and Season 5 and Season 6 episodes Time's Arrow, Parts 1 and 2. All of which are linked to Data.
Very good.
In Generations, he installs the emotion chip. In Insurrection, the movie Data malfunction is the start of the storyline plot. Right. And the episodes start with the discovery of Data's head in a cavern in San Francisco with artifacts from the 19th century. Could this be a hint that somehow Lore or Before could be appearing soon? Oops, Shaw actually mentions the Devron system, whereas I thought he said the Davidian system. He was mentioning the Next Generation finale, All Good Things, which he would not know about unless he had read Picard's personal log.
Did we hear in the last episode, though, that Picard had released his autobiography?
Yes.
Yeah, because all the ensigns that were talking to him had read it. So I think maybe Shaw, even though he's not a big fan of Picard, probably was hate reading his autobiography. What is he saying about him saving the galaxy here when actually he put us all in jeopardy?
Or even, I guess, during sort of the academy training, certain engagements that Picard would have had aboard the Enterprise would be taught, I guess.
Yeah, it could be that. It could be that. Can you imagine, though, if you blamed him for the death of all the people that worked with you at Wolf 359, if everybody kept telling you about all of his amazing achievements all the time?
I know.
You can see why Shaw is not a big fan of Picard.
Absolutely. Good stuff, Jamie. And certainly, absolutely there with you around seeing Michelle Forbes back involved. And yes, I loved her in Battlestar Galactica as well.
Yes,
what a great show that was.
Without a doubt.
And thank you for all the information around the 3 incidents mentioned by Shaw. And yes, a bit of data link there.
Absolutely. Let's see what happens in Daystrom, I guess.
Yes.
Thanks, Jamie. Victor Von Doom says, more Raffi and Worf, please. Rolards' appearance only strengthens my bid for Sisko's return from the Prophets. I believe it will take something like that to root out the changeling invaders. Shaw steals every scene he is in. That Vulcan gangster scares me more than the Orions. The most frightening thing is the changeling evolution. How did Jack pass the transporter scans if he has something or someone inside him? I am fully engaged and a bit confused about the plot and loving it. I can hardly wait for Frontier Day.
Well, indeed, when all the bare ass cheeks of Starfleet's fleet will be in the air, ready for something to happen. Yes, because I mean, a really important point made by Rolaran there in the holodeck that all the preparations for this grouping of the fleet of vessels for Frontier Day still haven't been released as to what the itinerary, what the security protocols are going to be, which is very suspicious given, all the commanding officers don't know what's happening.
Exactly.
And it's very close to Frontier Day.
Yeah, and Rose saying she would generally have access to that kind of stuff. So, so why is it not available?
Yeah. And also that there are changeling issues on a number of ships that are being kept stum.
Yes, lots of transporter accidents, which have taken care of some members of crew. So it'll be very interesting to find out what's happening here. But it is going to be an interesting Frontier Day. Seems to be the focal point.
Certainly will. Totally agree there, Victor. Yeah. Really glad you're enjoying it as well. And yeah, I'm definitely up for Sisko's return. I really hope he wants to.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Victor, I'm also in full agreement with you, fully engaged, a bit confused with the plot, but absolutely loving it. That's kind of where I am right now.
Excellent stuff. Thanks, Victor. Thanks, Jamie, for the feedback. Really good to get your thoughts there on episode 5, Imposter.
Yeah. If you want to send any thoughts that you have on any of the shows that we're covering, of course, you can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or pop on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries, where we have a spoiler post up every week for each and every episode of the shows that we cover. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Star Trek Picard. We'll be back next week with Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 6, Bounty.
Yes. Milk chocolate or plain?
Or is it mutiny on the bounty? Or has somebody put a bounty on Picard's head?
I would say bounty on someone's head.
Bounty on Picard's head, I'd say. Yes.
Definitely.
Excellent.
Yes, thank you, fellow Trekkies, for joining us. As always, a pleasure talking all things Picard with you. But in the meantime, until next week, keep watching, keep listening, and keep trekking.
Today is a good day to die. Bye.
No, it's not. You've got editing to do.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, well.
Keep living.
Bye.